Jesus. What happened there? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Deck, and if you enjoy talking about movies in any way, shape or form, you're going to feel right at home here. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the latest joint from Spike Lee, that being Da 5 Bloods.
Black GI, is it fair to serve more than the white Americans that sent you here? Nothing is more confused than to be ordered into a war to die without the faintest idea of what's going on. I dedicate this next record to the soul brothers of the 1st Infantry Divisions. Be safe.
So, Da 5 Bloods was quite an interesting film when it was coming out because there was a lot surrounding it. This was Spike Lee. Of course, Spike Lee is one of those directors who, when he releases a new movie, it's quite publicized. It's quite a big event when Spike Lee is releasing a new film. And also, this is the first time that Spike Lee is working with Netflix. We have seen many fantastic directors starting to work with Netflix now. Obviously, we've had Martin Scorsese, we've had Noah Baumbach. These incredible directors who are now working with Netflix to produce and distribute their films. And Spike Lee has now joined that ensemble with Da 5 Bloods. This film came out on Friday. I checked it out yesterday, and I have quite a lot of thoughts about it. So, in regards to my personal history with Spike Lee, it's not very extensive. I've literally seen Da 5 Bloods, and I also have seen 2018's BlacKkKlansman. So for me, I'm not too well versed in Spike Lee's filmography, and from what I've heard from people who are a bit more well versed in his filmography, BlacKkKlansman and Da 5 Bloods are definitely his most restrained and most accessible movies, so I don't even feel like I've seen truly what Spike Lee is about and what he does. I really feel like these films I have seen, as much as I've liked them, especially BlacKkKlansman, which was a movie I really liked, I still don't feel like I've fully explored everything that Spike Lee has to offer. But even with that, as I said, I really like BlacKkKlansman, so with that in mind, I was pretty interested to go into Da 5 Bloods to see how I was going to think of it. Now, all the performances across the board were fantastic in this film, especially when you look at the Bloods themselves and the main characters in the film. Delroy Lindo is mostly the big standout here. His performance is truly incredible here. He really does deliver this impactful and emotional and very raw performance, especially when he's showing things such as PTSD and just what it's being like to be this person who's been so badly affected by the war that they were a part of, and seeing how that's almost changed them fundamentally as a person. I think he handled that really well. And there's also a couple of really big scenes for him in this film, which, while I'm not sure if they worked entirely for the film, performance-wise, they worked really well for him, and I think he really was able to display his acting prowess in this, particularly in those scenes. Despite while I feel like those scenes, again, a bit wonky, for the most part, from a performance standpoint, really well handled. It was also really nice just to see a great performance from Chadwick Boseman again. Not to say that Chadwick Boseman has been giving bad performances of late, it's just I've been watching films like 21 Bridges and his performances in the Marvel films, and while I really like him as Black Panther, I think he's really cool in the role, he hasn't really given a performance on the same level as something like James Brown in Get On Up in quite some time, and that performance that I got from him in Get On Up is very similar to what I got here with Da 5 Bloods. I really felt like this was a performance that he really gave it his all in, and I really felt like he was truly passionate about and truly cared about, and it really reminded me of that performance in Get On Up. So for me, I feel like this is the best performance we've seen from Chadwick Boseman in quite some time. And visually, this movie's stunning. Even though this film doesn't particularly have much going on in terms of visual effects, the location shots in this are absolutely stunning. This film, of course, takes place in Vietnam for the most part, and when you're in the Vietnam jungles, it's just beautiful to look at. It's a really stunning film. You know, when we're going down the rivers and when we're going through like the river markets and stuff like that, or even early on in the film we kind of go through the nightlife of Vietnam, it just looks stunning. It's a beautiful looking film, especially if you watch it on Netflix in 4K. It's a truly stunning showcase, and I was really loving just being in the world of Vietnam. Even though it was a bit dangerous and not exactly the most pleasant at times, it was still very visually appealing to look at. Also, from a filmmaking standpoint, I really enjoy what Spike Lee did with the aspect ratios of the film. And while I'm not particularly well versed in aspect ratio numbers, I can't tell you exactly what the aspect ratios are in the film. What I really like, though, is how they change. You know, I really like how they use different frames to actually show different time periods and different locations. When we see the Bloods just hanging out in Vietnam, initially you have a very traditional, aspect ratio just going on there. When we have flashbacks back to Vietnam, when we see the Bloods fighting in the war with Chadwick Boseman, it goes to a much more smaller square frame, which kind of refers it back to the flashbacks, and it also has like a haze and a grain over it, which looks really cool. And then when they go back to Vietnam in the modern day, we have a full widescreen, and it looks beautiful. Again, as I said before, this movie is really stunning, and that widescreen really adds to that. It allows you just to fully take in this world and fully breathe it all in and just appreciate what you're looking at. I think the film had some really great writing too, and genuine tension. There's a particular couple of moments where there is a lot of really good conflict and really good tension among the characters, and what I like about it is that it doesn't really pull any punches either. This conflict that we have in the film very much reaches its boiling point and doesn't really cut away, and I really enjoy that because it makes sure that this film and the conflict within it, it shows how well these characters know each other, how long they've known each other, and how much they kind of know of each other's demons. And I think that was really interesting, and when you see that all kind of come to a head, and also when you have these other tension-filled moments, it genuinely gets your heart racing a little bit, and also kind of emotional at times. I think this film really nails the writing, and I was really impressed with it, particularly with the scenes that had some really big scares and really big tension. My only negative I have for The Five Bloods is that I do feel like the film is slightly predictable. Like, as cool as the story is, I actually really like the story of this film. I think it's really good. It's just a little bit predictable with a couple of the elements. I don't want to go into it too much because it is entering spoiler territory, but I think that the film does have a few elements and a few plot threads that I feel were a bit too predictable for my liking. There's a particular thing to do with these certain characters who are introduced at a certain point in the film, and when I saw them introduced, I thought, okay, well, this is going to come in at some point, and it does, and I feel like that was a bit too predictable, but for the most part, it doesn't really take away from the film. So overall, I thought The Five Bloods was a really enjoyable and really great watch for me on Netflix. I think this was a great film, and I really enjoyed it. You know, as this is my second Spike Lee joint, I thought this was a really good one and a good follow-up to BlacKkKlansman. You know, whether I go and explore his other films is yet to be seen, but as of right now, based on BlacKkKlansman and based on The Five Bloods, I've really enjoyed what I've seen from Spike Lee, and I think this film has amazing performances at the center. It's got a great story, great writing, it's a visually stunning film, it's very creatively made. It's just, as I say, it's a little bit predictable here and there, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the film, and I've gone back and forth with the rating, because on Letterboxd, I actually gave this a 3.5 out of 5, but given the fact that I don't do halves here, I'm going to just settle and commit, and I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, just because I do feel like it is closer to a 4 than it is to a 3. But The Five Bloods, 4 out of 5. It's a fantastic film. I definitely recommend you checking it out, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely go do so, because it's really good. And as I said, I think it's stunning, it's visually appealing, it's got great performances, it's got a great story, and it's quite emotional and quite tension. It's quite tense. It's quite tense at times, which is really good as well. So make sure you go check out The Five Bloods if you have not. But have you seen The Five Bloods? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Were you a fan of it, or were you not really a fan of it? Whatever you thought, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie-related videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.